Live. All right, welcome to the Trumpeter's Call. This is an extension of Eric Newble Ministries. This is a powerful prophetic prayer line. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a lot of great things coming up here. Our very own minister, Montina McLean, is having a women's conference, The Breaking of the Box. It's happening this weekend. Got some powerful, powerful speakers, including our very own prophet Jackie Hendricks and many others, so you don't want to miss this. Also, Tuesday and Thursdays down in Mississippi, God's kingdom is just expanding to several different states, and Mississippi is one of them. And if you can join Tuesday and Thursdays at 7 p.m., the Gatekeepers Intercessory Prayer Line. And of course, we have the launch. We have Judah International building project. This is not only building and expanding our facilities at Judah International, it's also expanding people. So if you want to be a part of that, you want to sow into that, please go ahead and contact us. We'd be more than happy to help you there. And at Judah, we have an award winning book, From Shattered to Restore. That is the foundation for restoration ministry. It is about getting restored, being made whole. So, again, our own ambassador, Nanette Larson, she's an award winning author, and she is allowing people to use this book to help people become restored. And every fourth Saturday, we've got a men's ministry under Apostle Eric Newble, Elder Johnny Collins, um, Elder Darrell Brown, Minister Tommy Arbuckle. They are helping facilitate a men's ministry. I am so excited because on September 23rd, yours truly will actually be there ministering. So invite men, come on over. We've got men from all over the country. We've got people from Cincinnati. We've got people from Tennessee. We've got people from Daytona Beach, Florida. We've got people from Phoenix, Arizona. We've got people from all over the country. We've got men of God from all over the country. Come join us. And be on the lookout this semester, this fall semester. Inspire University is going to be offering a new class. I won't let the cat out of the bag, but Apostle Eric and Teacher Rebecca, they are the overseers of Inspire University, and they are going to be releasing a new class this semester. I was talking to Apostle Eric about some of the different options. I'm telling you, whatever it is going to be fire. Hello, Pastor Darlene Law. Good to see you. God bless you. Pastor Bernice Dunn. Good to see you. And for vision casters, we have our wonderful vision casters, the Universal Citizen. We just had our conference last month, and the videos are almost ready. They are just about ready to be released. So if you didn't get a chance, or if you were there and you want to rehearse some of the incredible, incredible revelation and information that was released, those videos are going to be on sale coming very, very soon. And Divine Design Women. Divine Design Women are going to have a women's mental health and awareness. I mean, we've got some powerful, powerful people here. We've got our own Jennifer Moon, Coach Jennifer Moon of Inspire Fitness. We've got Prophet Jackie Hendricks. We've got our new Megan Larson. She is a professor at one of the colleges down there, and several others. This is an odd. You know what? I'm going to see if I can get the video. I'm going to see if I can get some of the men's ministry, some of the brothers from the men's ministry, and see if we can maybe crash on into this one, because this sounds like it's going to be an awesome conference. Okay, what we're going to do now, I want to share about being extraordinary. Be extraordinary. Now, this past week, I was at another conference. I was actually at two conferences. I had the tremendous opportunity to be with the John Maxwell Leadership Conference, the International Maxwell Conference. We have literally thousands of people from all over the world. It's the largest training organization of its kind in the world, and we had people from all over the world come down. Tremendous, tremendous conference, and of course, I was at the Scaled Agile conference. Scaled Agile, that's the field that I work in. Again, same thing. We had thousands of people from all over the world join us for this conference. And of course, you come back from conferences like this. You come back from conferences like Vision Casters or the ICCM Leadership Conference. All of those incredible things. And you're super excited. You're on this spiritual, emotional high, and I was like, okay, Lord, what do I need to do? What are some of my takeaways? What can I do, to take some of this that I've learned for here from Vision Casters, all of these different things. What can I do? Lord, what are you saying to me? And the Lord told me the same thing He told me last month after Vision Casters. He said, be extraordinary. Be extraordinary. Now we know, I talked a few weeks ago that extraordinary means going beyond what is usual, regular, or average. Or average. I truly believe there's a spirit of average. There is a spirit of mediocrity that is really trying to attack society, really trying to attack the church. Jesus said, be ye hot or be ye cold. If you're lukewarm, if you're average, He'll spew us out. God is not after average. When I was coaching football, I've coached football on multiple levels, at the varsity level, the semi-professional level, and the professional indoor level. And I would tell the players all the time, if all you do is come to practice like everyone else, you're just going to be average. You've got to do something outside of practice. So as Christians, what do we do when we're not in church? What do we do when we're not at the trumpeter's call? We've got to go beyond what is average in order to be extraordinary. See, if you're extraordinary, what that means is that you have some extremely good or special quality. So today I want to talk about how we can be extraordinary. Now, the funny thing is years ago, matter of fact, it was in 2019, it was October 2019, I was speaking at the Project Management Institute Global Conference. Project Management Institute, again, they are, as the name implies, they are an international entity, and I had the tremendous opportunity to speak there. Now, this is a professional, quote-unquote, secular conference, and I'll never forget when I got up there, one of the first things I said was this: I believe in the power of human potential. And I believe we as humans, we can do the extraordinary. And I'm telling you, when I was at this conference, I felt the unction. I felt the Holy Ghost. I felt this prophetic declaration come out. And man, I'm telling you, when God allowed me to share this, again, this is people from all over the world, people from different cultures, different nationalities, different ethnicities. And I spoke this, and it was like there was a tremendous reverence in the room. And then I went ahead and probably spoke one of the best messages I had up to that point. I mean, it was incredible. And you know what? I was thinking about this, and as God has been dealing with me about being extraordinary, I had to be honest. I was like, Lord, you're telling me to be extraordinary, but on most days, I don't feel extraordinary. To be honest, sometimes I'm just trying to keep my head above water. And I feel like sometimes there's so many things happening and so many things going on. And, we've got kids. I'm trying to run a business, help with ministry, all these different things. And in all honesty, I can't say that I feel extraordinary in all of those areas. And a lot of times I feel like I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I feel like I'm just trying to make it. I'm not striving. I'm just like surviving. And I was like, Lord, how can I be extraordinary when I don't feel like it? And something God has been dealing with me. You've seen me show this diagram numerous times. But, we are here. We're at this place. And then we always focus on our vision. I just wrote a book, Envision Your Future. And we absolutely need vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And we absolutely need goals. And, we absolutely are believing God for manifestation. And the thing is that oftentimes we really lock in and we focus on that manifestation. We focus on that end state. We focus on that future. And for me, it'd be like, speaking in front of thousands of people or selling lots and lots of books, being a New York Times best-selling author, all these different things, or having kids that are extremely successful and very, they're serving the Lord, they're very successful in their whatever profession God calls them to, and having a beautiful family, and kids that behave themselves, and having an incredible ministry, helping with the launch, helping with inspiring, and we focus a lot on the future state. And we absolutely need to be, again, I just wrote a whole book on envisioning your future. We absolutely need to look at that, and we need to know where we're going. At the same time, we've got to understand that we're going to spend a majority of our time not at the manifestation, but in this gap in our daily lives. And see, what God was dealing with me about, I keep thinking, Lord, I want to be here. I want to do all these incredible, extraordinary things. But we've got to back up, and we've got to ask ourselves, what are we doing day in and day out? See, God started telling me, it's in your daily life. That's how you become extraordinary. Now, John Maxwell, he said that if I could come to your house any day, you pick the day, you pick any day, I could tell whether you're successful, you could be successful or not. He said, if I got up with you from the time you got up till the time you went to bed, if I monitored all your activities, everything that you did throughout the day, I could tell what direction your life is headed in. Because see, success is found in your daily agenda. Last time I talked about this concept of deliberate practice. It was an article published in the Harvard Business Review as well. It was based on research done by Anders Ericsson. He's the foremost leading researcher when it comes to human performance and expertise. He talked about this concept of deliberate practice, that you have to consciously, intentionally work at something in order to become great at that thing. If you really want to be extraordinary, you've got to intentionally go out and practice being extraordinary. You have to practice being extraordinary. See, in John Maxwell's book, The 15 Laws of Growth, he talks about the law of intentionality. You're not just going to grow. You won't just grow and develop. What happens is humans, we just want to kind of, keep the status quo. We just want to kind of, just go with the flow, if you will, right? He says most people don't lead their lives. Most people just accept their lives. And we don't want to do that as Christians. We want to engage in this deliberate practice. God has not called us to be average. He's called us to be extraordinary. And when I was at this last conference, hey, Sister Tiffany, good to see you. When I was at the John Maxwell conference, there was a gentleman there, and he had written a book. It's a New York Times bestseller, and he talked about, this book was all around, it was called Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. Now, why was it called Atomic Habits? Well, we know that atoms, they are the building blocks of all matter in God's universe, right? If you take a look at anything, whether it's air, if you take a look at your wall, your house, your car, people, etc., it doesn't matter. Any matter that is out there, it is made up of atoms. And Apostle has written a book called The Nucleus of Motion, right? The key to any movement is having a nucleus of people that operate together. That's how you create a movement. That's how you bring transformation. So what are you getting at? Well, atomic habits break things down into the smallest common denominator. Break things down into the smallest constituent pieces. That's how you build change. That's how you become extraordinary. Now, he wrote this book, and again, he sold over 15 million copies, and he said something, in this book, and I've heard him say it while he was speaking at this conference. He said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Let me say that again. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You don't go up into this manifestation. What happens is, especially when pressure hits, you're going to fall back to the level of your systems. Well, what do you mean? You've heard me quote Edwards Deming, who laid the principles that laid the foundation for the Toyota production system. He said, your system is perfectly designed to give you the results you're getting. So what are you getting at? Atomic Habits really talks about what are those small habits that we do day in and day out that create our systems. Whether you know it or not, you create systems within your heart, within your mind, and that is manifested out in your daily life. You create systems and you operate within that system. Now, we talked about last time in Romans 12:2, it says, don't conform to the patterns of this world. In other words, we don't want to go into the systems of this world. We want to make sure that we're tapping into the systems of God. And we do that through our daily habits. Now, one of the amazing things that he talked about was that, again, everyone is always looking for this incredible, big, humongous manifestation. But he said this, get 1% better each day. Every day, just look. I'm a motivational speaker. I've been a football coach. I am a martial arts instructor. I'm preaching to people, trying to motivate people, and I'm like, you need to give 150,000%. But one of the things he talks about is that if you make 1% change, if you get 1% better each day, now notice this, each day, what happens is at the end of the year, you become 37 times better. You experience a 37 times improvement in whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, he gave an example of the British cycling team, and what they did was they were like the worst of the worst. And what they did is they tried to get 1% better in a lot of things. They tried to get 1% better. In other words, they looked at things like, okay, they had a surgeon come in and teach them how to wash their hands. What does washing your hands have to do with cycling? Well, if you wash your hands properly, you have less chance of getting infected. If you have less chance of getting infected, you have better chance of getting out there and training. They looked at, okay, how can we, when we're transporting the bikes, what if we painted the inside of the trailers that we keep the bikes white so we can notice dust? And if we can just wipe the dust off the bikes, maybe that'll give us a 1% advantage in aerodynamics. And they looked at all kinds of things, even things like looking at the type of pillow they used to see if they can sleep better. If you sleep better, you recover better. If you recover better, you can train better. Small incremental changes at that atomic level, these small things that a lot of people overlook. Bishop likes to say, don't just look at the obvious. Don't just look at the obvious. We're under an apostolic prophetic ministry here at the Trumpeter's Call. We've got to look at the foundation and see where can we make these small atomic 1% improvements. One time I was talking with Apostle Eric, and he had just got through preaching and ministering, and I was on the altar with him, and just incredible service, right? And I said, Apostle, you are so gifted, man. You are anointed, man. God has gifted you, and you're so anointed. Oh my goodness! And I was really encouraging. I was blown away by all the things God was using him in, and I was like, I probably said the word gifted like 15 times. And as a good father, he pulled me aside. He said, son, yes, thank you. Yes, God has absolutely gifted me. And as he started sharing, you could just hear the humility and you could just hear the compassion in his voice talking to his son. He said, but understand, yes, God has gifted me, but I have applied myself to what God has called me to do. And that really changed my thinking, and I started listening to him talk, and all of a sudden in my mind I started seeing him on the altar every day. And I started seeing him, whether he's in Jackson, whether he's in Judah, wherever he is, he's got his prayer show on, the lights are down, he's got some music on, he's praying, he's seeking the face of God. He is constantly seeking God. He's constantly studying. And I thought about when we were in college, and I tell this all the time, but I thought I was doing something. I was up early, I was running some sprints on the track, etc. Thought I really did something. I'm like, man, none of my teammates are here. I go outside, and here he is standing outside with some combat boots on. I was like, preach. I was like, man, what are you doing? He's like, man, I just ran around the entire campus in combat boots. What? Well, why was he one of the fastest people? Actually, the fastest person on the team? Why is he such an incredible preacher, etc.? It was because he applied himself. In other words, he was creating daily habits, daily disciplines, each and every day, and putting himself and applying himself towards what God has called him to do. See, James 2:20 says this, but wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead. See, we're all around Incredible Word here at the Trumpeter's Call. If you go to Judah International, Incredible Word. If you go to Inspiring Ministries, Incredible Word. And, many churches are represented here. If you go to Pastor Darlene Law's church, incredible Word. But, God was started challenging with me. He started saying, okay, you're in these wonderful services. You're in these incredible ministries. You're at these conferences. Okay, now what are you going to do? Because faith without works is dead. Now, I want to encourage you to engage in this concept called implementation intention. Implementation intention. Well, what does that mean? Well, hundreds of studies have shown that implementation intentions are effective for sticking to our goals. Think about this. Think about your New Year's resolution. I was speaking somewhere one time, and I said, okay, how many of y'all made New Year's resolutions? And it was like right in January. Nobody raised their hands. I was like, what? And then I heard somebody say, well, every time we make resolutions, we don't ever stick with them. My mind was blown. Hundreds of studies have shown that implementation intentions are effective to sticking to our goals. The punchline is clear. People who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through. So when you are really intentional, when you really engage in this deliberate practice, if you engage in the works God has called us to do, what happens is we are more likely to accomplish that which God has put in our hearts. Let me give you I'm going to break this down so simple and so practical. Now, what does implementation intention look like? Implementation intention looks like this. It's really simple. It's like a prophetic declaration. You say, I will, or you write down, I will do something at this time in this particular location. I will do something at this time in this particular location. So let me give you an example, right? Let's say we really want to work on our devotions. We really want to work on our prayer time. And you say, well, that's so basic, Elder Neil. We want deep revelation. Listen, I've had the tremendous opportunity to travel all over with Apostle and Teacher Rebecca, and trust me, Christians all over, we could use some work with our devotional time, our prayer, and our study time. So let's say we're thinking about our devotions. The way you say this is this. Meditation. I will meditate. I'll do my devotions at 4 a.m. in my kitchen. Okay? You say, well, that's so basic. Write the vision. Proverbs 29:18 says, write the vision. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision, so he that readeth it can run with it. You want to write these things down. Why? So you can develop better habits. So you can develop those atomic habits. You can develop a deliberate practice. You can do like Apostle Eric says. You can apply yourself to what God has called you. Psalms 1:3 says, but his delight is in the law. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. In his law doth he meditate day and night. You know, a lot of people, since I wrote my book, they say, Neil, hey, how did you write that book? How did you become an author? How did you write that book? Well, guess what? How did I write that book? I had to sit down. I had to think. I had to constantly meditate, just like I was talking about, meditate on his word day and night. And I had to seek God about, God, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to write? And I remember sitting at the computer sometimes and typing a sentence, and nothing else was coming. I got news for you. Everywhere I go, whether it's in church or secular, doesn't matter. I say, how many of you feel like you have a book inside of you? And almost everybody raises their hands. And people say, I'm going to write a book someday. If you want to write a book, sit down and make a prophetic declaration and say, I will write at 5 a.m. in my office. See, if you wait for inspiration or if you wait for the emotions to come, I got news for you. You might be waiting a long time. But faith without works is dead. Now let's look at the other side of that. Faith with works is life. Faith with works is life. If we start putting works to our faith, faith cometh by hearing, hearing by the word of God. If we start acting upon that which God has given us, guess what? You'll start sometimes you gotta step out in faith, and you got to sit down and you gotta start writing. Write anything. Write a paragraph. You don't write a book at once. What you do is you write a page. And you don't write a page, you write a paragraph. You don't write a paragraph, you write a sentence. And if you can't write a sentence, write 2 words. That's how you will write your book. Now, the next one, exercise. Exercise. I will exercise at 6 a.m. in my local gym. Maybe you don't have a gym. Fine. You know what you do? You say, I am going to exercise at 6 a.m. I'm going to go walking. And what you do is you put your walking shoes out there. And then you know what else you do? You put your clothes out that you're going to walk in the next day. You put it right there. You put it right by your bed. You put it right by as soon as you wake up. Put your shoes right by your bed. So as soon as you get up, you put your shoes on and go walking. And maybe you can do your meditation. And guess what? While you're walking and doing your meditation, maybe God will speak to you about a book. See, the thing is, a lot of times we make things so hard. Oh my God, I got to exercise. I got to be at the gym. I got to work out 3 hours. No. Start out with walking around your block. Little by little. I'll never forget. I heard Prophet Jackie preach this one time. She talked about little by little. That's how God will do in you what He's called you to do. And I even put that chapter in my book. Sometimes it's just these little things, making little prophetic declarations, or in the secular world, they're called implementation intentions. Now, encouragement. You know what? I got away from this. Encouragement. I'm going to write down 3 names to encourage for the week every Sunday at 7 a.m. in my office. You know what? I got to be honest. I got to confess. I got so busy. We got so busy doing things. Got so busy with kids. Got so busy. And you know what? I didn't even think about encouraging people. The prophetic is for edification, exhortation, and comfort. So I started writing down 3 names yesterday. I started making calls. I started texting people just to encourage them. What are you getting at? Sometimes these small little basic things, implementation intentions, these prophetic declarations that you write out, there are things that can help trigger your mind, help trigger your spirit, help remind you so that you can act on these things. Now, while I was going through this, God brought back to my remembrance Bishop's 3 Ds: discipline, desire, delight. Well, what do you mean? 2 Timothy 1:7, the King James and the New International says this: For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, King James. The New International says, but He gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Listen, self-discipline is one of the fruit of the Spirit, okay? If you look, love, joy, peace, we always talk about those. But if you go back down, the last thing is temperance. That's self-discipline. We have to be disciplined. Paul talks in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. He talks about everyone that striveth for the mastery. It's talking about the discipline of an athlete. You have to be disciplined as Christians. That's one of the fruit of the Spirit. See, if we combine discipline with desire, people say, I want to preach. I want to do this. I want to start a business. I want to write a book. I want to do all these things. Great. Take that wonderful desire. Take that zeal. The Bible says it's not good to have zeal without knowledge. Take that desire, that zeal, combine it with discipline. That is deliberate practice. Those are atomic habits. That is what Apostle has said about applying yourself. And if you do those 2 things, if you combine that desire with some discipline, some action, some implementation intention, what happens is it becomes a delight. Initially when you start this, I gotta be honest, it's not fun. It's difficult sometimes. You're like, oh, especially you start working out, you're like, oh, my legs are sore. Oh, my arms are sore. Well, you know what? Don't when you start working out, don't just go and try to lift the whole gym. Just walk around your block. Start small. Think big. Start small. Act fast. And then when you do those things, eventually it becomes a delight. If you delight yourself in the Lord, He'll give you the desires of your heart. There will be a delight if you do the desire and the discipline. Now, how much time is this going to take? Well, radio personality and author Earl Nightingale said that 1 hour a day will make you an expert in your field in 5 years. I even talked about this at Vision Casters. And then right after I got through talking, we had Chris Robinson, who is the Executive Vice President of Entrepreneurial Solutions of the John Maxwell team. He's in charge of an organization that has 50,000 people almost, nearly 50,000 people. And he was speaking, and he said, you know what? Forget an hour. Start with 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes every day that ends in day. What he was getting at was that, hey, people are saying, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Just start small. And you know what? Don't just start small. Be consistent with it. Every day that ends in day, do what God has called you to do. Try it for 5 minutes. Just try it. And then James Clear, who wrote that book I've been referring to, he actually said, try it for 2 minutes. 2 minutes? See, the thing is that we look at 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, that's nothing. Okay, if it's nothing, then go do it. And then stack it up every day that ends in day. And then you know what? After a month, you take that 5 minutes times 30. Oh, well, that's 150 minutes. That's almost, that's like, wow, that's over 2 hours. Okay. You have to stack these habits day in and day out. Now, a couple questions for you. I'm going to end with this. Clearly establish your priorities. What is it that you want to get better at? What is it that God is calling you to improve on? What is God calling you to grow 1% each day? 1%. Really get crystal on that, crystal clear on that. What is it that God has put in your heart? What do you really want to get better at? Now, here's the thing. Don't pick 15,000 things that you want to get better at. Pick 2 or 3. The Bible says if you're faithful with a few, right? If you're faithful with another man, if you're faithful with a few, He'll make you ruler over much. Be faithful with just a few things. Don't pick 30 goals. Pick like 2 or 3. Write them down. And then here's your goals. Here's where you want to be. And then look at your agenda. Look at your daily agenda. Take a look at all the activities you're doing. What do you spend your time on? We're saying we want to do this. We want to get in shape. We want to be this incredible, powerful preacher, worship leader, intercessor, whatever. Do our actions, our activities each and every day reflect what it is that we desire to be? And ask yourself, which of the activities are truly value-adding? When I work with companies, this is a question I do. What I do is we call it a value stream. We really map out activities that an organization will engage their employees in every day, right? And we take a look and we see what are the steps you're actually doing, how much of these steps are truly adding value, that are truly helping you get to where you need to get to. See, the thing is, if those things that you're doing aren't really value add, you've got a lot of activity, but not a lot of productivity. Most companies, people are super busy, but what they're doing isn't really getting them to where they want to be. And that leads me to the third thing. Are the activities helping you become the person you want to be? The activities that you do every day, whatever you engage in, you say, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. Take a look at the things we do each and every day that ends in day. Are they helping us become the person you want to be? And if they're not, why are we doing them? See, the thing is that if we want to really create good habits, we want to create these deliberate practices, this application of God's Word, we call that wisdom in the church. We want to build identity-based habits, meaning We want to start by focusing on who do we want to become? Who do we want to become? See, Ephesians 2 and 10 says this: we are God's workmanship. We are his workmanship, created unto Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. I always looked at these works as, doing things like Pastor Bernice, laying hands on the sick and healings and miracles, and all those things are incredible, and those are incredible works. But what are the works we're doing before that manifestation? What are the works that we're doing before we get to the pulpit, before we sell millions of books? What are those habits? What are those small pieces that we're doing each and every day? Those are the good works. And understand, our relationship with God is not based on works, right? None of our works that we did got us saved, right? It's because of his grace, his love. But see, Jesus said this: if you love me, obey my commands. If you love me, obey my commands. If we're truly Christians, if we truly love Jesus Christ like we profess we do, if we truly want to do the work and the will of God like we profess, then we have to obey his commands. We've got to obey what he's called us to do. We have got to put application to our information. We've got to put application to our revelation. Those are the good works. And if you do those good works, guess what? If we do those good works every day that ends in day, the manifestation will just come. It'll happen. Why? Because God has built it inside of us. We have this concept that we talk about when I work with companies called built-in quality. Built-in quality. So, I want to leave you with this. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. God bless you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Brian, if you're there, blow the shofar.